Hello and welcome to Talking Good Games match preview. West Ham United against Spurs at the London Stadium on Sunday. Big game ahead for West Ham. But Charlie, as always, can I get your thoughts on the opponent Spurs, please?
Topsy-turvy upper mid-table team is kind of what I'm looking at now. They have the pieces to be much better than they are, to be higher than they are, to be considered like a team that definitely should be in the top six. But a couple of years of instability have made them sort of drop down further than they perhaps should be. I mean, when you look at like their starting 11, for example, there's a lot of really good players in there, a lot of really good players. And then you obviously have also like Harry Kane and Son, who are both world class, right? They're good. They're very good, but they just aren't quite fit and firing on all cylinders. But I think now with Nuno in charge, they've kind of got a guy to build with. Mourinho was never going to be a guy to build with, is probably my opinion on that matter. I think Nuno's just a better version of Mourinho anyway, but I don't think he was ever someone who you could reliably build a team with. I think Nuno, you can do that. And over the next couple of years, we'll probably see them get to being a lot more consistent. But for now, I honestly wouldn't be able to tell you what Tottenham's going to turn up at the weekend.
Do you think Nuno's the right manager for Spurs?
I mean, if I was a Spurs fan, I wouldn't want him, but that's only just because the style of football he plays. I think if you're looking for someone who, can reliably... The one thing I'll say about them is I think that you can see the building blocks for something better, but right now it's kind of like in the early stages of something kind of a bit... It's pragmatic and perhaps boring a little bit. But they will get better under him. And I mean, look, you look what we did with Wolves, and obviously he had an insane amount of money there, but especially for a championship side. But he did get them really, really good. When they were good, they were really good. And so I think if you're Tottenham, unless you can go out and get like, I don't know, Conte or whatever, coming off a Mourinho team with Mourinho style players in place, there's probably not many people out there who are a better shout than Nuno right now.
I disagree with you. I mean, I think, to start with Spurs, and I'll talk about Nuno in particular, because I think there's two different conversations there. First of all, I think I like my stats. Statistically, there's two stories here. The first one is league table. You take a glance, I think they're doing all right. What's the problem? They're fifth in the Premier League going into this game. What's the issue? They'll still do all right in the Europa Conference League. I know they got beat last night and stuff, but they'll do okay in there, I think. So it's that side of things, it looks okay outside looking in. But when you look at the other stats, which is down the bottom of the table for chances created, shots and stuff, and it is poor. They are played poorly, and it is, like you said, boring. And the problem is, and this feeds into what my opinion of Nuno is, I think Nuno is a fantastic manager for someone like Wolves, almost like the underdog for a team that will have 35% possession in a game. I think he's a brilliant manager. He knows how to get the best out of that type of style and formation and stuff. But then when he's at Spurs, I don't think he can get away with that. I don't think he's good enough for Tottenham. I think his style of football is completely wrong. And I appreciate what you're saying. I think you make a good point that he probably is, in terms of succession to someone like Mourinho, is the right way to go. But Mourinho didn't fail, not just because of Mourinho the man, but also Mourinho the football. The football wasn't good. The Tottenham fans demand a bit better, and I understand why. When you're being treated to the football that Pochettino play, when you have players like Kane and Son, you've signed in Dembele, who's not quite hitting it, but he's a fantastic player in there. I understand why Tottenham fans are saying, hang on a minute, I'm fed up with this football. I don't want this football. I want to see something better, not just winning, but something better. You are correct. Nuno is succession to Mourinho because you can use the Mourinho players. But I don't think it was a total Mourinho squad. I don't think he had enough of his players in there. Sure. So I think they could have got away with not going down that route. They could have actually changed and went towards someone like Pochettino and accepted the Mourinho experiment was a failure, because I actually thought he'd do okay there, Jose. I thought he would win something with Tottenham. I thought he'd go in, and he might have done. He took them to the final of the Cup, and then they sacked him in the build-up to it, so that allegedly they didn't have to pay more compensation, because if he won that, he'd guaranteed European football, and then the payoff was a bit larger. So he got there, he got to the final. Who knows what would have happened if he was in charge? But I just don't think Nuno is the right manager for Spurs. Like I said, he's a good manager, but this is the wrong club for him. I'd be surprised if it's a success, to be honest with you, Charlie.
I think he's probably the right manager maybe for the Spurs hierarchy, because I think the Mourinho signing showed that they were sort of willing to sacrifice everything in order to get to a perceived next level and in order to sort of win something. Because that's what Mourinho was going to do. You don't hire Mourinho expecting stability, long-term stability. And I think maybe they're looking at Nuno kind of in the same sense of saying, look, he's going to be boring at times. He's going to be like pragmatic. He's going to just sort of do what he needs to do. But that can drag us to where we are higher. You know what I mean? But I think that's maybe a fairer point than saying he's the right man for Tottenham. He might be the right man for Tottenham's hierarchy.
Yeah, but I see what you're saying. You know, they'll sacrifice stuff for Mourinho to win a trophy, but they got into the final, then they bottled it.
Oh, again, Mourinho was madness. Mourinho was utter madness because, again, even in the best case scenario of Mourinho, you get a trophy and then in the third year it all explodes. We know this. He's done it time after time after time. And if you're trying to build a club for long-term success, it's insanity. And maybe they just look at Nuno as the less mad version of Mourinho.
Right, we'll continue the Spurs talk in just a minute. Before we do, Charlie, while Nuno might not be the best manager in the Premier League, while Tottenham might not be the best team in the Premier League right now, what is the best football app for any Premier League fan?
I mean, it's probably the One Football app, isn't it, if we're being honest?
Is.
Probably
is. The One Football app is completely free. You get it, you download it. You don't even need to sign up. There's none of that. They use cookies. I like a cookie. Charlie likes a cookie. One Football use the cookie. So if it says to you, what's your favourite club? You click on it. You say West Ham or Tottenham, or if you're a neutral, you click that team. Then you click on your favourites, you click on your club, and there you have it. A streamlined news feed for exactly what you want. It gets rid of all the rubbish. Gets rid of everything you don't want to see. So anything Jose Mourinho, Spurs fans, you don't have to read about him anymore. It's gone. And it's completely free. Link in the description and pinned comments. Get it downloaded today. The number one football app for the football fan. That's my opinion only. But Charlie, you agree with me, don't you?
Oh, yeah. It's a banger. It's a banger.
Anyway, get downloaded on your phone today and you shan't regret it. Right, just quickly before we talk about the players and move on to talk about West Ham, I want a prediction from you. What will Tottenham's season look like in the end of May? What come the end of the season? What is Tottenham's season going to look like?
Top 6.
Do you think so?
Top 6, probably. Quarterfinal of an FA Cup. I mean, like, they don't seem to be, like, I was talking about this on the watch along yesterday when everyone was having a very good time talking about how bad Tottenham were. And it was a case of, I think, look, if you're Tottenham, realistically, you probably wouldn't put much stock into the Conference League, Europa Conference League. Like, it's a tournament you could very conceivably win. But if you're looking at it sort of as we need to get into the Europa League, we need to get into the Champions League, you could probably just concentrate on getting it in the Premier League and do it quite simply if you're Tottenham. You've got Harry Kane, you've got Son, you've got a lot of very good players. You should be a top 6 side. And even now, where we're saying they're not firing on all cylinders, they're looking a bit sort of whatever at times, they're still sitting 5th. Like, this is a side who should, and I suspect will be top 6 comfortably. I don't think it's going to be like Arsenal, who would need to squeeze it to try and get into that position, and I don't think they will for context. Like, it's a comfortable situation for them, and then probably a run in the cup to like a quarterfinal or something like that. I don't think it's going to be a remarkable season. I just think it'll be what I don't think they're consistent enough for it, but I think they'll probably look by the end of the season. You'll go, yeah, Tottenham existed, and they're probably in the Europa League next year.
I reckon 7th or 8th, to be honest with you. I know it's a bit harsh, but I don't know. I think he'll catch up with them eventually. You know, they didn't necessarily struggle, but 3-2 away to Newcastle isn't a fantastic victory. It's a win that everybody's expected to get, really. And while it might knock the Europa Conference League, I think they'll get out of it eventually. I think eventually they'll start thinking, well, hang on, we've got to win the last couple of games and get out of the group. I think that is a competition they could win. I think it's a competition they need to go and win as well. So, because while people turn their nose up at it, do you know something, Tottenham fans? Bugger it, embrace it. If West Ham win that competition, I'd be loving it if West Ham could go on and win it. And if you do win it, it offers you a route into the Europa League next season. I would argue it's possibly easier for Tottenham to win that tournament than it is to finish currently 5th in the Premier League to get into Europa League. So I think their best route into European football next season, Europa League is probably in the Conference League that they're currently competing in, because to get for 6 or 7 to get European football in the Premier League, you're heavily relying on one of the Champions League sides to go and win the FA Cup and the League Cup. And while that's possible and probable, with the way the title race is going this season, I'm not sure you'll see that. I think you might come February, March time, you might see Pep, Klopp and Tuchel saying, actually, bugger the FA Cup, I don't fancy it this year. We'll leave it. We'll put out a reserve team and focus on the title challenge. So come the end of the season, I don't know, I'll say 7th, but I think they really need to go for that Conference League. I know you want to say something before we talk about the players. What you got to say?
Yeah, I was just going to say, the only reason I would say they probably finish higher is ask who would finish actually above them. Because like you look at the table right now, you say Brighton are doing really well. Brighton won't be up there by the end of the season. I think, at some point, I do think we'll see the effects of teams, of the amount of games we're playing, because we're hopefully going through in Europa League as well. Like, I don't know how many teams are going to finish above them. Everton aren't firing on all cylinders. They're starting to get there, but I don't think they're there yet.
Well, Man U, Man City, Liverpool, and Chelsea. Yep. Would you say they're dead certs? Even though Man U are crap, I still think they're pretty dead certs.
Yeah,
up there.
100%.
Well, that's 4 of them already. Us, Leicester, I'd say we're both big contenders. And then the teams you've mentioned, Everton, Brighton, if they can get a little bit of luck and get their act together, they might challenge Spurs. They might, Tottenham might finish in top 6. You may be correct. But I just think, it is early on the season made prediction. I just think there's too much needs to go in their favour in order to do it. Lastly, players you admire from Spurs, please, before we move on.
Son is like so good. I think Son, if he was playing for a different team or for a different country or something, he would get even more respect, because that guy is so good. Like, and especially when you're looking at a team who are counter-attacking football, it's like, is there a better footballer to just put in that system? Just go, plop, there you go, he's my forward, it's Son. Like, he is amazing. I love Son. I really like Højbjerg as well. I think he's really, really good. And I'll admit I've got a soft spot for him because I bought him on FIFA in like 2014 when he was like a youth player at Bayern, just because he had good potential stats. And I was like, yeah, that one. And then like since then I'm like, oh, Højbjerg's real good. No, now he's actually just genuinely really good. He like that team without him, that midfield without him, I would be a bit concerned about. Like, because I think Skip is decent, but I don't think I don't know. He doesn't fill me with the most amount of confidence in the world yet. But he's getting there. Like, I know, like they've played with Ali at times. They've played with Ndombele at times. These are players who have both been very streaky. Like, Højbjerg's the one where I'm just like, oof, he's good. He's very good.
Yeah, I agree with you. Those two players, like Son's one of the best players in the Premier League, really. Yeah. What I will say about Hugo Lloris, I thought he was finished a couple of years ago. I thought he looked crap, to be honest with you. I thought, Jesus, they need to replace him. I have to admit, in the last 6-7 months, I've been thoroughly impressed by him. He looks back to his best when I was watching for France as well. Yeah. Not just for Spurs, but for his country as well. I think he's turned it around a little bit. A bit like what De Gea's done at Man United. He went through a rocky patch. He looked finished, and now he's just come back, and he's almost like, not quite prime De Gea, but he's looking good. And I think Lloris is doing the same for Spurs. But Højbjerg's someone that I think, it looked like a sensible purchase when they got from Southampton, and I thought he'd be a good signing, but he is just superb in that role. I think Ndombele has been playing very well as well for them, which is important. I think if there's one player in that Spurs squad I think Nuno needs to get a song out of, it is probably him, because the guy is talented. There's no doubt about it. On his day, the guy could be world class. That they signed him expecting him to be world class. We've not seen it yet at all. Yeah. So I think the potential is there, and I think if Nuno could just wave his magic wand over one player and get him firing, I think it should be in Ndombele, and they might just reap the rewards for it. But anyway, enough about Tottenham. Time to talk about West Ham, Charlie. But before we do, Ham's Charter running their boats as always. Before every home game, we run private events on boats. It's 2 minutes from the London Stadium, just behind the East Stand. If you want to get tickets to it, the link is in the description of this video. You can come before the game, after the game, or both if you want. Various bars on the boats as well as a barbecue. Kids are more than welcome. They go free. There's absolutely no charge for children. Get your tickets, and we shall see you there on Sunday. Right, goalkeeper. I really love Fabianski. Who would you like to see start?
I'd probably like to see Areola, personally. I really like Fabianski, and I see totally why Moyes continues to go with him. He trusts him, and he knows the sort of system. He knows the backline people, so the communications there, all that good stuff. So I totally understand why he keeps going with Fabianski. But for me, the sooner you blood Areola in as the first choice and get him working within those systems, the less effect it's going to have further down the line. So for me, it'd be Areola. Yeah,
I could see arguments for both, really. It's a 50-50. Whatever Moyes does, I'm happy with. I think it's the right call, whatever he does, essentially. We'll only know if it's the right call at 90 minutes, of course. But in the build-up to it, when we do the show, build-up show, whatever, whoever's in goal, fine. We move along and have a look at the rest of the team. I'll probably go with Fabianski, just because I don't think he did anything wrong at Everton. And a clean sheet there as well. It's hard to sort of drop him off the back of that. But then, Areola is very much giving him stiff competition. And I think the problem with Areola is I don't think he's been tested enough in the Europa League games. Last night against Genk wasn't really tested enough. I'd like to see him have a bit more shots at him and stuff. And I think the Man City Cup game on Wednesday next week will be a good indicator of just how good Areola is for West Ham. But for this one, I'd probably stick with Fabianski. Now, the back four is unknown if Vladimir Coufal will be fit for Sunday. But hypothetically, Charlie, before I ask this question, does the rest of it pick itself? Zuma, Bona, and Creswell?
Yeah.
Right, well, we need to have some form of discussion. So I'm going to make a hypothetical question over the right back. If Vladimir Coufal was fit, who would you like to see start?
Ben Johnson. I think, and that's only like not because he's playing better than Coufal ever has or anything else like that. I just think, again, I've been critical of him because I just think his development has stalled over the last 12 months or so, and I think it's not from any fault of his own, really. It's just whenever he's getting game time, he's not in his preferred position at right back. It's at left back. He's not left-footed, so going forward, that happens in all this other stuff. And obviously, he's not going to get in ahead of Coufal and Fredericks, right? So let's say Coufal is fit. The question is he fully fit? Is he
hypothetically, yes.
Is he 1,000% ready?
Yeah, hypothetically.
If he's 1,000% ready and there's no sense of the fitness team going, well, maybe he could benefit from one more day's rest or whatever, then yeah, you probably play Coufal because you play your best team, right? You go out to win the game, and I think this is a winnable game. And not only is it a winnable game, it's a winnable game where at the back of it, if you've won it, that's a huge confidence boost for everyone, and everyone comes out of it feeling like the top of the world. It's not beating a League One team; it's beating Spurs. It's a different story. But in a world where even if there's even the tiniest 0.5% of going, well, maybe he could benefit, then Ben Johnson, because I think he's played really well. I think he's played really well when he's come in. I don't think he deserves to be dropped by any stretch of the imagination, sort of like you're saying with Fabianski to an extent. And the more he plays, the better he'll get in that position. And that's all I want to see as a youth academy player. It's just to keep getting better. And I said this on the watch along as well. I think it's great that he's playing with 10 of the other first choice players, because it's not like Sam throwing in youth players where there's like 5 or 6 of them and it's just a pain in the arse. No, it's him. And so even if you can allow him to make those mistakes, because literally everyone else in that team is going to be on it. So I would love to see Ben Johnson if there's any element of doubt whatsoever. But if there's not, then you just have to play Coufal because you go out and you get a win.
Yeah, it's a difficult decision. Should Vladimir Coufal be 100% fit? I agree with you. If he's not, Ben Johnson. But hypothetically, for the sake of the argument, I think it's a difficult call for Moyes because Coufal hasn't necessarily done anything wrong. Bar the game against Brentford when he had a stinker, he's obviously got so much credit in the bank. And the difference with Coufal compared to some other players perhaps is his shirt's not up for grabs. He was out the team through injury and that's it. It's got nothing to do with form. And we're seeing the situation. We had it last season or the season before previous for Moyes where we had issues at the centre back. Diop would play well with Ogbonna, get COVID. Balbuena would come in and play well, and Diop couldn't get back in, although he only went out the team because of COVID. And he was like, well, I should get back in now because I'm fit again. But it was like, no, you can't because this guy's playing really well. And he's got that scenario now because Coufal was out injured. Johnson's come in. I thought he's looked brilliant. I think he's looked really, really good. And if you would hand out a most improved player of the season so far, Ben Johnson would win it hands down for me. I think he's gone from like a squad role status last season to a first team player status this season. That if he starts on Sunday, it's through merit. It's because he's earned it. And I thought it was quite a good statement, if you like, for him to start against Genk last night and Fredericks was on the bench. And also in the media after the game, I know it's a small thing. It's probably extremely insignificant, but I like small insignificant things. I like to pretend they are significant. Ben Johnson was sent out to do the media stuff after the game. I like that. I thought this is good. This is David Moyes' business. You go do it. You're a senior member of the squad now. You've had a really good game. You're playing really well. You go out and face the media. There's no need to protect him anymore. For this one, if Coufal is 100% fit, it's difficult because you're up against Son. It's probably the hardest opponent. Yeah. Apart from Grealish, them two are the two top left wingers in the Premier League, probably. It's difficult, what do you do? And again, I would probably start Ben Johnson, just for the sake of the argument, which is that Coufal won't be 100% fit. But Moyes can't really get this one right. If anything, I think it would benefit Moyes if Coufal was just injured for this one.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
I think a 95% Soufal gives Moyes a problem. Do I play him, although he's not 100%, or just stick with Johnson? I think he's got a problem. If Soufal's just not available, fine. Decision made. Johnson starts, sorted. We move along. So I actually think it would benefit David Moyes not having Soufal available. Vice and Souček, it's got to be in it.
Yeah, it just has to be.
Mikel Antonio, this is going to be interesting. There was some rumours that he was meant to start last night and then just, didn't. But hopefully he's fit and that Moyes just left him at the squad completely. But just seemed a bit unlike Moyes not to have him on the bench at least. Have you got any concerns that he's not available for this game, or do you think that Moyes is playing a blinder and keeping him hidden?
Oh, I don't think Moyes is ever playing a blinder. I mean, I've always got concerns about that man's hamstrings at all times. He could be on the pitch and I could have concerns about it. Do you know what I mean? It's just if he plays if he's fit enough. Unlike Soufal, where there's like a sort of if you've got a little bit, no, he plays and I like Bowen plays. Bowen works really well, or he works really hard in that role. But you can see there's a significant drop off. Yarmolenko can play up front for other people and whatever, and he's done okay when he's played there for us. But at the same time, there's a significant drop off. It's not this situation where we have the backup. So unfortunately, even if there are some minor doubts, he's getting in, isn't he? Really? And if you were to pick. If you were to say he can only play in this or the City game, you'd probably pick this one. So
100%. 100%. I think in terms of the lineups coming out on Sunday, I am calm, apart from the striker situation. I think for 10 of them, I'm all right. Moyes can do what he wants with them, and I'm confident he'll pick the right team. But with Antonio not even being on the bench last night, and some rumours that he was meant to start and then all of a sudden just wasn't in the squad. Like I said, it is only rumours, but it does make me nervous because I just can't get my head around Moyes not having him on the bench. I struggle to think that. Bear in mind, we had 2 goalkeepers on the bench, right? So it's not like there wasn't spaces. It wasn't like, he chose to give 2 of the young lads the spaces on the bench. No, Randolph was on the bench as well as Fabianski, right? That is unnecessary, which makes me think he was unavailable, which makes me nervous. However, Moyes does like a bit of mind games, doesn't he? Moyes often will say, I don't know if he's fit. And then, unfortunately for him, the club are putting up pictures of training. The geezer's running around in training. So it's like, well, he is fit, Dave. We can all see him, Because I remember that time when he did it with Fabianski. Remember, he said that Fabianski hadn't trained. And half an hour before, the club put up pictures of training. Fabianski's there, saving a shot. I'm like, there he is, Dave. He's there.
Were you not at the training? He's there, bro.
Yeah. So quite often, Moyes will get stitched up by the media team, but I am hoping that this is just a bit of mind games from David Moyes, because Tottenham played their own. I don't care what people say. Tottenham played a little bit of mind games by saying we're resting our 11 ahead of the West Ham game. We're not sending the starting 11 against Newcastle. We're leaving in London. We're sending a completely different team to the Netherlands to play Vitesse. And it was almost like a little bit of calling Moyes out. Well, what are you going to do? We're resting our team. What are you going to... I hope Moyes has thought, bugger it, I'm going to take Antonio out of the squad completely. Make you think he's injured when actually he's 100% fit. Out he comes Sunday. But I am nervous, Charlie. I'm nervous that he's...
I think you're maybe giving him a bit too much credit. This is only because it's literally your only striker. If it was any other position, I'd maybe go, you could afford to be a bit of but you've got one, and even then he was a converted wit. Let's not go crazy.
Moyes is at the mind games, I reckon, but I'm a little bit nervous. And when that lineup's come out on Sunday, the first thing I'll be looking for is Mikel Antonio's name on that team sheet. I hope it's bloody there, because if not, my confidence will decrease significantly. If he starts. What about the 3 attacking midfielders? You've got Jared Boneside, Benham, Pablo Fornals. Arguably, a couple of them, or one of them, is not in the greatest of forms over the last 2 or 3 games, though. So would you stick with it, or would you make any changes?
I would be tempted to make changes if there were people screaming for that position. If say against in the last match last night, if Lanzini or whoever had an absolutely balling game, then I'd be like, okay, right, we can maybe make some changes here. But I think they played much the same as the 3 that would start have. I think there was a lack of final third passing, and we just didn't look like we were quite firing there. And that was exactly what happened against Everton as well. So for me, I think you pick the same people, knowing they know exactly what to do, and when they have been good, they've been lightning. So I think you'd stick with them for now.
Yeah, I agree. I would stick with him as well for similar reasons to yourself. Not really much options. There is players that you can put in, but they've not shown enough in order to nudge those ones out of the team.
Yeah.
And I think, for what it's worth, Bowen, I think, starts 100%, one of the first names on the team sheet. I think he's in fine form, been one of our best players this season. But I think Fornals and Benrahma have had a couple of quiet games now where we have lacked a little bit of cutting edge. I'm just hoping that they've benefited from the rest. And if there's one small niggle about last night's win, I was a bit like, I don't. When I seen them coming on, I thought, oh, don't bring them on. You don't need to. Don't bring Fornals and Bent. There's no need to bring them on. Just leave them. All it takes is one stupid challenge from one of those players, and you've got a problem in your hands. Get one of the younger lads on or something, or change it up, or just do something different. Do not bring those players on. I understand why he did. He's trying to. Moyes is also probably looking at them, thinking they could do with a little bit of confidence boost or whatever, getting them on the pitch and whatever. Fornals and Benrahma, we need to see a bit more from them. But like Soufal, they've got loads of credit in the bank for this season, going back to last season as well. It's just the form isn't a concern as yet. Just want to see a better version of Fornals and Benrahma on Sunday afternoon. But I think the team pretty much picks itself, Mr. Walsh, for now.
I think it does as well. And I think that's a good thing. We can sit here and we can go like, sometimes where you have a decision where you have two players who are in great form and the phrase often comes out, it's a good problem to have.
Right back.
I also think,
Johnson.
Yeah, exactly. But I also think to an extent, if you sort of know what 11 you're going to play because they're just that good, that's kind of also a good problem to have. It's not 11 because you're like, oh, well, we've only got 11, or it's 11 because you're like, what else are we meant to do? It's 11 because you're
Liverpool.
like, of course.
Liverpool.
Exactly. Yeah.
You know what the back four is going to be. You know what the keeper is going to be. Two of the front three. It might be Firmino, it might be WHUTOT, but fine, it's going to be Mane and Salah. You could probably guess the midfield three as well. Like you said, it's not a bad thing. It's just because they're that good. They pick the same team. Big game for us.
Always a big game for us. And I think it's one where you can put a sort of statement of intent on there. You put your stamp on this game, you beat them, and they're beatable. And all of a sudden, people stop looking at you kind of as like, they're doing well. They're plucky, aren't they? To being like, oh, they're taking a step here. They're making something of themselves. So I think it's both a big game in that sense, and also in the fact that it's West Ham United versus Spurs, which is a big game every time it happens for us. So yeah, I think it's a big one, and I think it's the most confident I've been going into it in a long time.
Yeah, I think it's a huge game. I don't care what people say. I hate this whole it's a cup final. Do you know how when both they say about each other, we say about Tottenham say about us. Piss off! It's nobody's cup final kind of thing. It's just a big game. And what's the issue with there being a bit of rivalry in football? It's a good thing. It's healthy for the sport. It's healthy for football. It's a massive game for both sets of fans. When I don't mind admitting it, when the fixtures come out, Tottenham at home is one of the first fixtures I look for. I look forward to it. I think I'll have a bit of that. Thank you. It's a big game. There's no doubt about it. On the pitch, for the reason you said, and I don't know if it's a statement of intent. I think we're beyond that. I think people know we're a damn good team and stuff. Even if we win or lose, I don't think it'll change too much opinion regarding us or Spurs, to be honest with you. I don't think it'll change too much. But what it does do, by the way, I think Tottenham resting 11 players ahead of Sunday is a massive compliment to West Ham. I think arguably, they've done the right thing. I get it. Looking at it, I get why Nuno's done that and why he's prioritising Sunday over Thursday. I 100% get why he's done it. And I think it's a compliment to West Ham. That shows how far we've come, because a couple of years ago, Spurs, in a similar situation, would have put out a very strong team in the Netherlands thinking, it's fine, they can play Thursday and Sunday, and anyone that can't play, we'll put in our second choice right back and centre midfielder against West Ham and we'll win. They probably would have done. But now they're thinking, bloody hell, we're going to have to rest our whole 11 in order to have a chance on Sunday. Huge compliment to David Moyes and West Ham. And yeah, I'm looking forward to it. You said you're confident. How confident?
Honest, really, this is the most confident I'm more confident this season in West Ham than I was last season. That's how confident I am right now. We're going into every game and I'm thinking, do you know what? Even if we're going to struggle, even if it's going to be a bit turgid, I still think we've got exactly what it takes to come out of it. Yeah, exactly. It's kind of insane to say. And you look at Tottenham, I think maybe I might have said this 3 games ago, but I'll say it now anyway. And it's something that's going to fill us all with dread. Potentially the right time to face Tottenham as well. Like, they're not lightning right now. They're not killing it. They're looking better than they were, but they're not. They're struggling a little bit at times. And I think, if we get off, because from the games I've seen, and I've not seen enough Tottenham, they seem to start kind of slow as well. So if we get off to our usual, if we get off to a good start, we press them early like we have been doing. We step to them a little bit. I think this could be good. This could be good. I'm very confident right now.
Yeah, I'm more confident for this game than I was against Brentford. I don't think we'd beat Brentford.
Yeah.
I think we'll beat Tottenham. Why that is, I'm not sure. For reasons already mentioned in the video, from the first minute of this video to currently, the reasons are in there. I think Tottenham have lost their mojo. I don't think they carry a fear factor about them as yet. They may, when we play them at their place later on in the season, they may have that fear factor. But currently, I don't have it. I think the last few games where we talk about our front three being out of form, if you like, because we've struggled to have a cutting edge. We've still controlled the game. We've still been the better team in those games. And I think the way Tottenham will play might suit us, actually. I think the way that Nuno plays might suit West Ham going into this one. And I'm very confident as well. It's hard not to be with the form we're in. We've just got this attitude and desire about us. It's impossible to beat. And when you're a side when you're in the form that Spurs have been, and like I said, you look at the league table, it looks quite good, actually. But when you look at their performances, they don't necessarily reflect that. And when you look at them against Newcastle, they won that game because Newcastle are crap. They won that game because Newcastle are one of the worst teams in the Premier League. It's a bit like the Man United-Atalanta thing. And anyone that watched the game that night, Atalanta were 2-0 up. Man U went on to win it late on in this thing. And while Paul Scholes is possibly the most depressing pundit to listen to, he's never excited, he's never angry, he's always just like, he talks like this all the time. Regardless, could be 5-0 Man United. He's like, it's been a good game for Man U. But anyway, as depressing as Scholes is, at half time, even at full time, Rio Ferdinand was buzzing. Didn't ask Declan Rice to join Man United, but Rio Ferdinand was buzzing. He forgot to get that bit in. And Paul Scholes just sat there and like, no. If this was Liverpool, they would have got slapped. They won because Atalanta just weren't good enough. They won because Man United have better players. That is it. There was no tactical genius here by the manager or anything like that. A better team would have been 4-0 up at halftime against that Man U team. And I had that feeling watching the Spurs-Newcastle game. I only got the first 50, 60 minutes of it. But a better team wouldn't have lost that game against Spurs. It was because it was Newcastle. I'm just not worried for Sunday. Any final words, please, and your score prediction, please, Mr. Walsh?
I like West Ham right now, man. We're just good. We're just good and fun. It's like, and I've said this before and people have been a bit shocked, but I'm enjoying this season more than I enjoyed last season. And I'm more confident in us this season than we were last season because I think we've got a bit more to us. I don't think we're I think last season we knew exactly what was going to happen. And it's not like we don't know that here, but we have the ability to break down teams who are going to sit. And that's kind of what Tottenham are going to do. Tottenham are going to sit. They are going to look to counter attack. They aren't going to come at us howling, pressing like Brentford would or whatever. So we know sort of what they're going to do. They're going to try and draw us in. And I think, fine. All right, cool. we could deal with that. We could deal with that. We can deal with anything right now. And I'm really flipping confident. Overly confident, yeah. Score prediction. Look, I wouldn't put a bet on this, but I'm going to say 3-2 West Ham. I think that's a big score. I think it's a wild score. I can't see them not scoring, if we're being honest about it. Tottenham are good. They have world-class players in their team. They're rested. At the moment, they are scoring relatively good amounts of goals over the last 5 games or whatever. So I think they'll get goals, but I can't not think out of the 2 teams who has the belief to do it. I think it's us. Who has the drive to do it? I think it's us. So I'll say 3-2.
Well, you say Spurs have goals in them. I think West Ham have clean sheets in them. We are picking up serious amounts of clean sheets. We are a difficult team to break down. We're a difficult team to score against, and we're a difficult team to keep out. And all that stuff as ingredients is a recipe for success. And I think that's exactly what we're going to see on Sunday. I'm going into this one very confident, and I've said this a few times, and I'll say it again. I'll probably say it another 50 times this season. Well, maybe not 50 because there's not 50 games. But I'll say it quite often.
Couple of long cup runs. Maybe we'll get to 50. You never know.
Yeah. Did they still do replays in the FA Cup? I'm not sure. They tried to cut that out, didn't they? So I could do a couple of replays in the early rounds of the FA Cup if possible, please. But anyway, what I kept saying was, because sometimes you do these videos, I'm really confident, and someone in the comments will say, whoa, calm down, you're going to jinx us, we're going to lose. Now, that's been applicable for years gone by, that's fine. I'm not bothered anymore. I probably won't be wrong. I'm confident about being confident, if that makes sense. I'm comfortable with being. I've turned up last night in the Europa League game thinking, will it be 2-0 or 3-0 tonight? What will it be? Let's sit down and find out. I didn't even contemplate that we might get beat because I was just that confident we would, and I'm comfortable with it. And it's enjoyable. It's not even scary. It used to be scary. But you're like, yeah, West Ham will win. And you're like, no, we will not. What am I going to do? You used to have shivers. But now, that's a bloody good time, Charlie. I'm going to say West Ham 2, Spurs 0. Another clean sheet and another 3 points. And I'm going to say Tottenham have about 4 shots at goal all game. Nuno's just rubbish. Anyway, shall we leave it there, my friend?
Yeah, let's do.
If you enjoyed this period, drop a like on it, subscribe to the channel. We will be live on Sunday at 12:55 for the build-up and find out if Mikel Antonio starts up front for West Ham if he is indeed injured. Catch you in a bit.